And now to start the free energy rabbit hole, we got the Great War opening scene between Nikola Tesla and JP Morgan. This is the natural starting point for this episode. It's a feud that is essentially a microcosm that perfectly captures the essence of the great world and the money runs the world system. This is an all-time battle between two of our main characters in this theater of the story of humanity. And it's not with a committing hearing, it's not with a leaked memo, it's with an archetypal biblical matchup, Nikola Tesla versus JP Morgan. It's human flourishing versus institutional control. It's abundance versus scarcity. It's the inventor who wanted to upgrade civilization versus the banker whose job it was to own the upgrades. It's the dude who wanted to provide free energy to the world and fundamentally change what it meant to be human, and it is the most powerful banker of all time who disallowed that to happen. And so our antagonist on the team of the power-hungry shitbag oligarchs, we have the most powerful and influential banker in the history of America. The man who sunk the Titanic to facilitate the biggest banking coup of all time and create the Federal Reserve in 1913. The man who literally privatized the United States government. The man who took away the sovereignty of our nation by making our government a slave to the centralized fiat system. The man whose son, JP Jr., took over the bank and got so lustful with power, he tried to orchestrate the business plot of 1933 and overthrow FDR and establish a fascist-style dictatorship in America. Look that one up. People don't know about the business plot of 33. That shit is insane. The man whose name is in my wallet and in everyone's wallets. He's got his name on the corner of every single street in America. And, he's one of the team captains of the sinister system. And, I can talk all the shit I possibly can, but this dude is dancing on me from his grave because his name is in my wallet, John Pierpont Morgan. And our protagonist is the man who Einstein bowed down to as the smartest man of the 20th century, the man who took JP Morgan's $150K in funding and said, fuck the radio transmission, I'm creating the wireless transmission of power, the man who has largely been forgotten about, the man who's on my t-shirt right this second, the man whose files were seized by John Trump, Donald's uncle, the dude who claimed to have invented a death ray, the guy obsessed with the Great Pyramids and who claimed to be contacted by aliens at one point, the guy who threatened the entire system and to replace the entire fossil fuel industry. We got the mad scientist saint, the Serbian American, Nikola Tesla. And that's the Great War in a nutshell. The moment an invention threatens the business model fights back. Tesla was thinking wireless power. He was thinking a world where energy became so cheap it changed what it meant to be human. And as the story goes, Morgan backs Tesla until the mission shifts from communication that you could put on a meter to power without a meter. And suddenly the investment stops making sense because you cannot build an empire on something you can't control, bill, and throttle. So if you ever wondered why certain breakthroughs feel like they disappear and why some ideas get mocked into oblivion, why the people who push too hard end up broke, silenced, discredited, or buried, welcome to this part of the Money Runs the World segment, the free energy segment. This episode is not me accusing one guy or any entity of pulling any of the strings. It's just me mapping the incentives that run the world, and using Tesla versus Morgan as our starting point because it is truly a myth of the modern age. Because Tesla wanted to give the world fire and the system just wanted to sell matches. Let's begin. All right, the story of Nikola Tesla's pursuit of free energy technology is probably the most important case of technological suppression in all of history. It is kind of the birth of modern free energy suppression era. He initially was Tom Edison's main competitor in the race to electrify America via the light bulb, but his trajectory changed dramatically when he shifted his focus from commercial electricity to his vision of providing unlimited wireless power to the world, aka free energy. And this is the transition that proved fatal to his career, fatal to his life, and fatal to humanity. So when Tesla revealed his ambitions to Morgan, who owned significant stakes in General Electric, copper mines, and AT&T, Morgan not only pulled his funding but actively worked to destroy Tesla's prospects. Morgan had expected Tesla to develop technology for transmitting energy that could be metered and sold, and instead Tesla wanted to create a system of free energy that anyone could access. And so similarly, John Rockefeller, whose Standard Oil monopoly controlled 90% of America's oil production at the time, he also recognized Tesla's free energy ambitions as an existential threat to his empire. And so between Morgan's control of electrical infrastructure and Rockefeller's dominance of fossil fuels, Tesla found himself pitted against the two most powerful men in America. So yes, this is the story of the smartest man in the world in the early 20th century, finding himself battling against the two most powerful and two richest men in the country, because they wanted to build their empires, and he wanted to propel humanity forward. And so Morgan responds by investing heavily in Tesla's competitors like Edison and Marconi, while warning other potential investors to avoid Tesla entirely. So the message was clear. You don't bite the hands that feeds you, aka you don't try and create free energy. And so Tesla was systematically blacklisted from receiving further investment, which explains why he died penniless despite his genius, and why 84% of the world's energy still comes from fossil fuels today. That is a disgusting percent. If Tesla succeeded, I guarantee that would be somewhere between 0 and 2%. And so had JP been more of a humanitarian and encouraged Tesla to pursue this wireless transmission of power and dumped more money into the Wardenclyffe Tower, I don't think fossil fuels would ever have been used again after a couple decades. I genuinely think that if JP supported Tesla, that fossil fuels would be seen as barbaric and wasteful and archaic, instead of still being the norm today. Instead, free energy could never be actualized. And then before you know it, it's 1970 and Kissinger's negotiating with the Saudis to create the petrodollar system, after the Rockefellers gave all our gold away from Fort Knox to the European elites. Quick little tangent. There's a story of one of Rockefeller's secretaries who sent a letter that the Rockefellers gave all their gold to the elites of Europe, aka the Rothschilds, and a day later she is thrown off a balcony and dies. And now they use our Federal Reserve and our military to control the world. And they may not destroy America because they do need those two things at the end of the day. They need the United States military and they need the Federal Reserve and the central banking system in the U.S. to continue to control the world, which is the only reason the United States will continue to remain a sovereign nation in the future. But despite this opposition, Tesla remained obsessed with realizing his vision of free energy until his death in 1943. His dedication to this pursuit led him to intensively study the Great Pyramids of Giza, as he believes they had originally functioned as massive power plants. This is a theory that is gaining massive traction in light of new discoveries by people like Filippo Biondi, showing that there's likely structures that go down hundreds of meters into the earth. And this all goes back to Christopher Dunn's Giza power plant theory. And the significance of Tesla's research became evident when the Office of Alien Property, in conjunction with the FBI, seized all of his papers immediately after his death, with many documents remaining classified to this day. And the fact that literally the world's most prolific inventor with over 300 patents and the foundation for much of our modern technology spent his final decades fixated on free energy and the technological secrets of the ancient Egyptians suggests he may have been on the verge of a discovery that powerful interests needed to suppress or perhaps intercept. And I use the word intercept because, funny enough, it was John Trump, Donald's uncle, who's an MIT theoretical physicist, who seized all of Tesla's papers. He was the one studying them, trying to reverse engineer Tesla's potential inventions that he hadn't gotten to yet. And this conspiracy that people point to is Ingersoll Lockwood's trilogy written in the 1890s titled The Adventures of Baron Trump and the Last President. And John Trump, who's also said to be involved in the Philadelphia experiment, which is the super mysterious USS Eldridge being disappeared or teleported in 1943, a few months after Tesla dies. I mentioned the Philadelphia experiment in my CIA operations first episode, and then just a little bit more on that Ingersoll Lockwood trilogy. It's literally about a young kid named Baron and his mentor named Don, and the similarities are striking. There's like a gold tower in New York that they live in that is akin to Trump Tower. The whole thing is ridiculous. That was written in the 1890s, and the theory there is like, oh, John Trump stole Tesla's papers and he found out a way to do time travel, and that's why Ingersoll Lockwood is literally writing a story about Barron and Donald Trump, and it's just so strikingly similar to the story today. So yeah. And then I also put together a timeline slideshow here. This was from 1884 to 1943. We got 84 when Tesla arrives in the U.S. and begins working for Edison. They soon part ways due to differences in their approaches to electricity. 91, Tesla then patents the AC induction motor and transformer, which revolutionizes the transmission of electricity, threatening the DC power monopoly of Edison and Morgan. 1901 is when Tesla's trajectory changes dramatically. He shifts his focus from commercial electricity to this grand vision of providing unlimited wireless power to the world. Right then and there, JP Morgan and Rockefeller, they fuck him over. They stop investing in him and they blacklist him from getting any funding from any other wealthy investors, fearing that his invention would undermine their empire in the fossil fuel industry. And then in 43 is when Tesla dies penniless in his New York hotel room, and his papers are seized by the government and John Trump. And today, of course, I mentioned that 84% of the world still runs on fossil fuels. And it goes back to this tale, this archetypal biblical rivalry between Tesla and JP Morgan and Rockefeller. And obviously unfortunately, as is often in this world, the power hungry, sinister system won. Tesla lost, fossil fuels remain, free energy suppressed. Done.